Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
More sail, cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show mid-trip. We've made our turn. We're on day 4 of this little voyage, and I'm not going to lie, the last 24 hours have been absolutely super frustrating. Light winds, pretty heavy northerly swell. Obviously, that does not bode well for sailing. We were becalmed a little bit last night. But the winds right now, and I don't know what's more frustrating, to be flat becalmed and then you just motor or drift, obviously, or the winds are they're like perfectly on the cusp of just about enough, but it's not quite enough, and so you kind of have the collapsing sail every minute or two, and you're just not quite there, and you're just not headed in the right direction. I know it sounds like I'm complaining for sure, but it does start to wear on, it tugs on my emotions. So that's kind of where I'm at. I figure we'll do a mid-trip sort of recap, and because it's been kind of a quiet trip, a reflective one, if you will. I don't really know. I never know what sort of mood I'm going to be in when I venture out to sea, whether it's going to be like podcast every single day. This one's been kind of quiet and just reading a lot and taking it in, really. The weather's been fantastic. Oh, you can hear the sails up there. Oh, it's driving me crazy. Mongo's been a bit of a... I'm going to have to go up there and see what the heck's going on. Mongo, is that you messing up? Man, oh man. Come on, people. Man, that wind. Killing me. Absolutely killing me. We were just doing so well. Forecast has it filling in. Anyway. Couple of ships out there. Yeah, the wind just died again. And the forecast has it filling in for the rest of the day, and we should have wind for the next 48 hours. And plenty of it. Mid-teens, all that sort of stuff. But we do have to run with it, so I'd really love it if it piped up to about 20. That would be pretty nice, because we are kind of racing against the clock in a way. You know, when I left, there was a system that is coming down from the north, and just like a front, but it's going to blow pretty hard out of the northeast or east-northeast, up into the 30s. But it's not so much that, it's the size of it. It's going to build the seas up something fierce, and I was kind of like, well, rather than ride that sucker out and try and peel through, the Bahamas, because the last time I did the rip around coming down from Cape Cod, I cut through underneath the Abacos and everything because the wind had piped up, it was blowing 25, 30 and I was kind of taking shelter in the islands. But it was a lot of just parking the boat on the ocean, waiting, and trying to be as patient as possible. This system just doesn't. I don't really have much want of blasting through it, even though it would be a nice downwinder, that's for sure. I'm okay with just getting back to the old marina. I mean, a 6-day trip is great. That's just about a perfect amount of time. I would have liked 2 weeks, but we are working on some possible presentations, and then also we got to start plotting and planning to get this lovely vessel a bit further north. So there's a bit to do, and sometimes when I'm out here and there's stuff coming up on the horizon as far as work and life and all that sort of stuff, I typically sort of am kind of like, I should probably get back to it so I can prepare. Okay, so now we're juicing. Now we're going south, though. We want to be going to the southwest, but I'll take it. Sales aren't slatting, so that's going to be a whole lot better. But yeah, so we took off on the 22nd of March, which was a Sunday. We pushed back one day because there was zero wind on that Saturday. Shout out to William. He took off, headed south. It was great to meet up with him and have a chat and dinner and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we set out. We had lovely breeze. Nothing too hectic, up to like force 3 or whatever, but it was out of the northwest, then the north, and then the west, and so we blasted right across the Gulf Stream. Super easy. It's only about, I think it's 60 miles from Fort Pierce Inlet to the eastern edge of the stream, so pretty much through that the first night. And then we were kind of just steady cruising. The winds were out of the southwest, and yeah, we just, I came out first and foremost at the mainsail and the staysail, and then within just a couple hours put the number 1 jib up, and those sails remained up until last night when I put the drifter up because the winds got so light. I have barely had to do, knock on wood, anything but trim sails every once in a while. No reefs, none of that sort of stuff. May have just totally jinxed myself saying that, but whatevs. Sometimes you need a little bit of action. It when everything is so kind of low key and calm, it almost reminds me of hitting the northeast trade winds going once I crossed the doldrums headed north, and I had like that 12-day run where I only doused the drifter I think twice. That's it. I mean, I didn't have to do anything. I was going bonkers. At that point, I didn't have any books that hadn't been read once or twice, so that was kind of my bad on that one. But this trip, I've been peeling through my book today. It's lovely, a little Clive Cussler, and yeah, not too bad. Haven't been sleeping as much as I would like. Don't really know what that's all about, but just doesn't seem, maybe it's all the coffee I'm drinking, I don't know, but just doesn't seem to, I get in that bunk and I lay down and I just sit there and I'm kind of like, and then I eventually just get back up. I was up almost all night last night, which honestly isn't the worst thing because the stars have been unreal. The moon is about halfway full. Absolutely stunning nights, and then when the moon drops down, I mean, just beautiful. I almost grabbed the mic last night because Scorpio is up in the wee hours, and it's just such a magnificent constellation. Maybe we'll do a little side story on that one. Maybe tonight, we'll see. But yeah, it's just been. I sit up there and my eyes are so wide looking at all these stars and just the clear skies, and it's warm. Still wearing a little bit of a hoodie Just probably because, obviously getting a decent amount of sun during the day. Even though I'm fighting it, always have the Bimini and the Dodger and everything up to try and mitigate, and lots of sunscreen and all that. But there's a lot of reflection and stuff. Oh, man, are we going off course again? Oh, that was the one thing that I did not like that was happening straight away was Mongo. Mongo's been acting up. I've had to kind of fine tune it in a very different way than normal, and I think it's just all the bearings and all the stuff in it, all the bushings, they all just need to be replaced. I ordered all that stuff like 2 months ago now, and I'm assuming it's back up in Michigan, but I won't know that until I get back to Michigan, which isn't going to be until May. But as long as I get that stuff before the trip from Cape Fear up to Cape Cod, that one is one where I would really like Mongo to be dialed right back in and fresh, ready to fight, if you will, to get me in there, because that one's an almost guaranteed trip to see a little bit of weather on it, and at least one of the days. So who knows? We shall see. But yeah, like I said, we're just kicking back and kind of quiet, just relaxing, reflecting. The water is just absolutely beautiful. There's a ton of trash out here, though. Whoa. There's a lot of currents sweeping around this little area northeast of the Abacos, and like mostly affected through the Gulf Stream, I think. But yeah, it sets up for lots of debris that is in the water. It's kind of it's a darn shame you see so much of it, but is what it is, I guess. Other than that, all the systems so far have done great. I still am having a little bit of an issue with my house battery bank. Does not seem to want to accept full charge unless I run the engine as well. So like right now, it's been sunny, blazing on that 220 watt solar panel up there all day, and we are only at 13.4. And I would really like to see that go up to like 14, but I don't know. The batteries are definitely old. The house bank, I can't remember how many years I've got on them, but it's quite a few, and they go through quite a few cycles. So they are. I think I am at a point where I kind of do need to replace them, but they're just the regular old deep cycle, lead acid batteries. But yeah, propane system working great. Fridge is working great. And yeah, everything else just, she's just doing it. She's real basic though, old Sparrow. Very, very, there just isn't a whole lot to it. That's one of the things I really, really love about this boat is that you kind of just hop on it, you look around, you set your sails, and there's just not a whole lot of moving parts, really. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, so this could be our first little installment. I got to go up there and dink around with this because I got to make sure we're in this last little drive. We're about 50 miles from southern tip of the Abacos, and then we're gonna have to switch our course. So I'm hoping this wind is going to just keep building and building, and by later this afternoon, I can do mainsail and a pulled out staysail and run directly before the wind exactly where I want to go. But we are getting into traffic time. I've already seen a couple of cruise ships, a couple tankers, and it's just going to get a little congested. But I like to, once I make the turn around the Abacos and you get past whatever little Disney island it is, it's tucked up in there, then usually it's pretty wide open for the night. But I think it's going to be a long one tonight, and I am hoping to get some rest before nightfall, even if it's just an hour. Look at me, listen to me yawning already. But yeah, that's sort of the game plan, and we're just going to keep charging. But it looks like, so today is Wednesday, the 25th, and what we're aiming for is Thursday to traverse the Bahamas, and then Friday to cross the stream and either get in early Saturday morning or get in late Friday night, I guess. No, I shouldn't say that. I definitely want to be pulling in there in the light if I can. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Pulled into that spot so many times, I do have to email the people at the marinas, make sure they know that I'm coming back. I would hate to pull in there and be like, oh no, somebody's in my slip. Or if they want to move me to another slip, something like that. Either way, all good out here on the old Osh. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy this little update till the next one. Oh boy. Woo! What a battle. Holy cow. And I got some sleep. That's the update. Got my coffee too. Sorry, Slovenia. Oh, the last 24 hours. Brutal. As I approached, got within, I guess, 46 miles of the southern tip of the Abacos. Kind of a pinch point, you really want to nail that so you stay above the really congested shipping channel out here and cruise ship playground. Oh my gosh. The only way I could do it was to go wing on wing and pretty much not quite dead downwind, but as close to it as humanly possible, which meant the rolling. The seas, that's a real skittish area where it comes to the current. Oh, and the troubles began. I mean, we started rolling and getting slopped around like crazy. And the seas aren't big. The swell had finally, once I got within about 30 miles, we were protected from the northwest swell. But the just slop was just absolutely mind-numbing, but I kind of needed to nail it. I had to jibe 4 times, I think, as the currents changed, so you got to imagine we got the mainsail and we got the staysail. Mainsail's got its preventer keyed on. Staysail's got its pole. So not an easy, just like flip-floppy switch swatch. And, God, I was just like, I'm looking at the charts and I'm looking at my angle and the compass, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're headed exactly where we want to, but the current's sweeping us one way or the other. Long story short, just the rolling, I ended up just sitting down and reading a book just to take my mind off it, because we were also not in any more than maybe 12 knots of breeze. So definitely a little bit of slatting and pushback on the mainsail, which sounds wonderful if you've ever listened to that. It's one thing to slat. It's another thing to slat when it's kind of sheeted way out. It's super annoying. And I think it's pretty hard on the equipment, for sure. It's not great. But I was trying to make a case for just trying to broad reach. It's going to start sounding like I'm complaining here. I don't know if you're picking up on that. I was trying originally to broad reach with the drifter because it was kind of lighter winds and stuff, and we were making decent speed, but our angle was horrendous. Twofold. One, it's hard to keep that thing filled on any sort of deep broad reach because the pole that I have is not long enough to make be able to really push that thing out. But two, Mongo needs a full strip down and at least a clean out. Even if I don't have the new parts for it, I got to clean that thing out because I've never had Mongo work so erratically in my life than on this voyage. I mean, I wouldn't even I wouldn't go back out until I figured this thing out. And I think it needs to be cleaned out, obviously. Mostly like the roller bearings and stuff, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the blade, the wood blade that's in the air might be just a touch too heavy. I think it might be out of balance. But the good news is that just around 2:30, I think, in the morning, I'm cruising and what did I just see over there? Nothing, huh? Cruising. We've gone and switched because the rolling was just getting stupid, and I just needed to get a bit further south, and then I was gonna go for the jibe. Switched everything back up once again to a number one jib, the staysail and the main, and and I'm still getting rocked and rolled by these stupid waves because the wind's just not quite enough unless I really start to angle it up. And I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, listen, I've got a couple miles on the point now. I'm going to just give it a shot because I got nothing to lose here. This is driving me crazy. I was like reaching my breaking point. And lo and behold, because you always wonder what your angle is going to be, what your actual angle is, especially in these lighter winds and when you have currents. Boy, I jibed and then set everything, came down below, looked at the old Navionics, and we were pinned on our little waypoint that we had on there, and I was the biggest smile. I shouted so loud. I was like, yes! Because now we've been on this perfect beam reach for the last what time did we do that? That would have been around 2:33 in the morning. So for the last 4 hours. Oh, I should have heated this coffee up more. I was just so excited. But yeah, for the last 4 hours, we have been seemingly on rails because once you do get past that point, you're really in the protected water. And I was only a mile and a half away from it. I cut it real close. And oh my gosh, it was just amazing. So different. Everything just rock solid steady. No rolly, no pitchy. Oh. But it did feel, here's the point of this rant, I suppose, is that the previous day or two had been so uneventful. There was so little to do as far as sales and changing things and doing all that. And it's work. Obviously, it's kind of a pain when you're like, oh, I got to jibe again or blah, blah, blah. You got to do that. But every single time I did it, as soon as I was done and was in the cockpit, I had this joy of like, all right, we did something. Like I feel kind of sore this morning. And I don't know. It's just something I got to keep in my head sometimes of like, even though the task at hand is seemingly something that you don't want to do, there's a reward beyond just doing that thing. There's a feeling of accomplishment that comes along with it. And, I mean, these are little tiny things, but I hadn't slept in I don't know how long. And, I mean, when I got back down below here and we were clear of the island by, I think, 3 miles and headed, in the opposite direction, I crashed out. Oh, and I slept. I did little 1 hour increments, so I'm feeling pretty charged up. It's time for big old breakfast. Haven't had a big one in a while. We're talking hash browns. We're talking bacon. We're talking eggs. Maybe a little bit of cheese sprinkled on top. I might even eat it on a plate instead of in a wrap or on a sandwich. Oh. Wow. Just such a change. Such a change. Okay. So, stats right now. And we'll give you the overall stats first. Because I was using that app. Shout out to Scott and Jessica. They're out here on their Bahamas adventure. Getting ready to hunker down for the coming wind this Saturday night or whatever. Ugh. Which is the same wind I'm trying desperately to get back to Fort Pierce before it blows. But they introduced me to this app called Sail Ties. I am not sponsored by them by any means. But it has been pretty cool. So duration so far on the trip, 95 hours and 1 minute. Distance total, 400 nautical miles so far. Average speed, 4.2. Boy, I'll tell you, you get becalmed one night and you don't go anywhere, that just kills your speed. Kills that average so hard. I used to tell people that on the with the trip around the world. I went and added up all the days I did less than 25 miles in 24 hours, and there were 39 of them. And I still averaged, I think it was 4.6. I think. I'd have to, I don't even know where that might be, that information. It was either 4.1 or 4.6 around the entire planet. Okay, so those are the big stats. Currently, we are 21 miles from the southern tip of the Abacos. We've got about 93 miles until we clear West End, or at least get basically to the edge of the Gulf Stream, or start feeling the effects of the Gulf Stream. And then another 80 miles. 80 miles? Yeah. 80 miles to make it back to Fort Pierce. So, if the wind keeps holding and we're able to do this, exactly what we're doing all day today, we will hopefully be pulling in actually sometime tomorrow afternoon, which would be a day early. Which would be kind of nice. I'm not going to lie. Just to, excuse me, wrap it up, tie a bow on it, and get some freaking real sleep. Get a night's sleep, a whole night. Oh. Woo! I don't know if it's just I'm getting older, but this trip was excessively hard to actually sleep on, and I don't really know why. I have a feeling, sneaking suspicion, it's because Mongo has been acting up, and so I don't really have a huge amount of confidence there. But that issue will be dealt with accordingly. Other than that, we're in for another beautiful day, sunny. It's kind of warm. Feels like it's about 69 degrees out there right now, but it's really hard for me to tell because I am caked with sunscreen and sweat from yesterday and last night, and I feel very sticky. Very sticky. Ugh. All right, on that note, we're going to wrap this one up. Till next one.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.